representative for Travis Scott has now apparently said during an interview that the rapper was in no way responsible for the mass casualty event that took place during his Astroworld festival. The performance turned deadly after a crowd surge got out of control and chaos ensued when medics couldn't safely get people out. The rep also added that despite him claiming no responsibility, he does want to be responsible for the solution. Spokesperson Stephanie Rollins-Blake, a former Baltimore mayor, said to the press, "I mean, this notion that Travis had the ability to stop the concert is ludicrous. They have a 59-page operations plan, and it clearly says the only two people that have the authority to stop the concert were the executive producer and the concert producer." She then goes on to say, "He was not responsible for this, but he wants to be responsible for the solution. And I'm here to make sure that we can connect the dots and to make sure that this tragedy, that there's a lesson out of this tragedy, and something like this doesn't happen again." She also reiterated that Travis had no clue as to what was happening until hours later. Travis Scott defenders also always point to the videos of him stopping the performance to check on concert goers. Rollins-Blake added that even in stopping the performance, Travis could not fully tell what was happening in the crowd. When asked about the grieving families and if there has been some communication between them and Travis, the representative replied, "Oh, absolutely." She goes on to say, "He's reached out to all of the families. I've reached out to the latest unfortunate victim to let them know that in their time, he's there. He's here to help if they want it." And as most of you know, the number of people who lost their lives at this festival has risen to 9 people after news broke that 22-year-old Bahardi Shahani had succumbed to her injuries. Fire Chief Samuel Pena, though, gave some pushback to those statements made in defense of Travis Scott and said, "We all have a responsibility. Everybody at that event has a responsibility, starting from the artist on down. At one point, there was an ambulance that was trying to make its way through the crowd, and the artist has command of that crowd," which is something that I've been pointing to a lot lately in our videos about this. In the video Top 10 Celebrities That Save Fans from Danger, I show multiple artists that were able to stop even bigger crowds than Travis's to help someone in the audience. The artist on stage is the center focus of everyone in that crowd, and much like a conductor in an orchestra, they have the power to control that crowd. However, this representative is not the only person that is standing behind Travis Scott. A lot of his fans are actually split on who to blame for all of this. Kylie Cameron, a 21-year-old student at the University of Iowa who attended the festival, said, "I know he has a history of encouraging fans to get rowdy and stuff at a show, so I went into it knowing that is the culture there." Even with reps and fans defending Travis Scott, it will definitely come down to what the Houston police find in their investigations. Unfortunately, the Astroworld Festival tragedy has claimed another person. 9-year-old Ezra Blount is the latest victim to succumb to his injuries following what Houston police called a mass casualty event. 9-year-old Ezra Blount is now the youngest person to have lost their life while attending Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival. If you recall, we told you that Ezra had been put on life support following the horrific crowd surge that took so many by surprise. The family of Ezra confirmed this news to ABC 13 Houston, which now raises the number of fatalities to 10 people. Ben Crump, who is an attorney for the family, said to the press, "The Blount family tonight is grieving the incomprehensible loss of their precious young son. This should not have been the outcome of taking their son to a concert, which should have been a joyful celebration. Ezra's death is absolutely heartbreaking. We are committed to seeking answers and justice for the Blount family, but tonight we stand in solidarity with the family in grief and in prayer." The mayor of Houston even shared his condolences and posted to Twitter saying, "I am saddened to learn of Ezra's death this evening. Our city tonight prays for his mom, dad, grandparents, other family members, and classmates at this time. They will need all of our support in the months and years to come. May God give them strength. Rest in peace, Ezra." Ezra had been put into a medically induced coma for over a week now after being knocked off of his father's shoulders when the crowd began to get out of control. When speaking with the press about taking Ezra to Astroworld, his father said, "He was stoked. He was ready to go. When I found out that he was a big fan of Travis Scott, I was like, oh yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go see Travis live." And his father also noted that when they arrived at the festival, they purposely stayed closer to the back of the crowd and away from the stage. Treston goes on to say, "We was in the back, way in the back, and I figured, okay, this is cool because the front can get a little wild." Unfortunately, it didn't matter how far back you were in that crowd. When the concert started to get out of hand, both Treston and Ezra were overwhelmed by the pressure of the crowd. Treston had actually passed out from the amount of pressure, and by the time that he woke up, his son had already been rushed to the hospital. Upon arriving, Ezra had major damage done to his organs and his brain had started to swell. Treston told the media, "I could tell that he was damaged. I'm not ready to lose my boy at all. We still got a bunch of living to do. That's my boy." And last Tuesday, Ezra's family joined the many others who filed a lawsuit against Travis Scott. In their lawsuit, they accused Travis Scott of gross negligent conduct, which contributed to Ezra's life-threatening injuries. In their initial filing before Ezra's passing, the lawsuit said, To his young, growing body, these injuries will have lifelong effects, impairing his quality of life and ability to grow and thrive, as he would have had he not been subjected to this incident. Along with that, they also allege negligence on a number of different levels, from crowd control to providing proper medical attention, hiring, training, supervision, and retention. Back on Thursday, Travis Scott told the press that he and his team had been actively exploring routes of connection with each and every family that was affected by this tragedy, but he also added that he was distraught by the situation and desperately wishing to share his condolences and provide aid to the families. However, he also mentioned that despite wanting to do this as soon as possible, he wants to remain respectful to each of the families' wishes on how they would like to be contacted.
Last week, we reported that Kylie Cosmetics is losing millions of dollars following the Astroworld tragedy, but now sources are saying that Kylie is furious about these rumors as they are not true. After reports were swirling that Kylie Cosmetics was losing tons of money following the festival, Kylie's reps refuted the rumors. The Sun first reported that Kylie might end up losing her business partnerships among the tragedy, as many were furious that Kylie was at the festival and did nothing, as well as posting a video of the concert with an ambulance in the frame and not deleting it until she was pressured to. At the time, the source stated, quote, "Kylie feels the weight of this and more than anything wants to do right by the victim. I know people do not think she cares, but she really does. At the same time, she's a businesswoman responsible for the livelihood of a lot of people." At that time, people wanted Kylie Cosmetics to take time off and not promote or sell any product out of respect for the families of those lost. But the sources added that Kylie is in a lose-lose situation because people depend on her for their incomes. Apparently, Kylie has decided to keep promotion on the down low for a few weeks to see how the situation plays out. However, the longer a company goes without promoting, the more money they stand to lose. The source added, quote, "We're talking potentially millions of dollars in losses." Kylie Cosmetics has not posted anything since November 5th, the day of the festival, and the comments are currently turned off, so it doesn't seem like Kylie will be posting again anytime soon. Kylie hasn't posted on her own Instagram since the event, and the comments on her posts are currently limited. However, the comments are flooded with people calling her out for the tragic festival. The source added that Kris Jenner is in crisis mode and is trying to figure out how to handle the situation. However, Kylie's reps allegedly commented on the piece from The Sun and said that the information in that article is incorrect. They didn't comment further, just basically denied the claims. However, from the videos that have been circulating online of people throwing out their Kylie Cosmetics products, it's clear that fans will be taking out their anger on Kardashian business ventures. They clearly turned off the comments on the Kylie Cosmetics Instagram page for a reason. One tweet about the situation read, "Kylie Cosmetics, your days are numbered. Everything must go." Another person said, "I'ma just leave this here since now y'all are finally throwing out your Kylie Jenner cosmetics." Along with the photo sharing BIPOC brands that people should support instead of Kylie. Kylie is currently back in LA while she tries to handle the situation. Apparently, she took a private jet out right after the news of the tragedy broke. Her and Stormi left for LA while Travis stayed in Houston to deal with the situation, essentially leaving him behind to fend for himself. Apparently, Kylie left in the middle of the night so nobody would notice. She also took a different plane rather than her pink Kylie plane. Kylie made a statement addressing the tragedy the day after it happened, but fans are not accepting her words and are still angry with how Travis and Kylie have handled the tragedy.
Yeah. That was funny.
Say thanks, Drake!
According to reports following his performance at the tragic Travis Scott Astroworld Festival, Drake was spotted tossing about $1 million on the floor of the Area 29 strip club in Houston. As per the New York Post, following the tragic Astroworld Festival in Houston, Drake was spotted the next day dropping roughly $1 million at a strip club. It's a weird way to be viewed after releasing such a heartfelt apology, but I suppose we all grieve differently. In a since-deleted video, women are seen scooping up a ton of cash as they say to the camera, "Thanks, Drake." And in another post from the Area 29 club, they even tagged Drake in the caption to let people know that he came through. In the deleted post they said, "Thank you Champagne Poppy, Roddy Ricch," then they tag like 8 more people and say, "Last night vibes was on point, grand finale tonight, Sunday fun day." Okay, so let's get this timeline correct, shall we? Drake went to this club the day after the festival tragedy, and according to TMZ, he also hosted an after party at Dave & Buster's in Houston the night of the tragedy as well. According to reports, this is where Travis also was notified that 8 people had lost their lives during his show and hundreds more had been injured by a crowd surge. TMZ reported that Travis immediately left the party after finding out. One source goes on to say, "Travis didn't know the severity of the situation when he arrived at the party. As far as timing, this remains consistent with the fact that no one, including the police, had publicly confirmed the gravity of the events that had taken place." The party that everyone went to afterwards was apparently a pre-scheduled event hosted by Drake, as I mentioned earlier, who also allegedly had no idea that anything awful had taken place during the festival. Another source close to this after-party celebration said that most of them did know that people had died during the show, but that they didn't take it seriously because they assumed that it had something to do with an overdose. They go on to say, everyone knew people died, but it wasn't taken that seriously because some thought it was drug deaths. They didn't realize. But celebrities, they should have just had grace and canceled everything. Then 2 days later, Drake broke his silence on the matter and said, "I've spent the past few days trying to wrap my mind around this devastating tragedy. I hate resorting to this platform to express an emotion as delicate as grief, but this is where I find myself. My heart is broken for the families and friends of those who lost their lives and for anyone who is suffering. I will continue to pray for all of them and will be of service in any way I can. May God be with you all." Drake is also apparently a regular at this club and also is rumored to have gone in the days before the tragedy as well. I don't really know what's going through their minds when they decide to party after such a horrific event, but I'm sure they'll wake up soon. As of now, there are more than 100 lawsuits that have already been filed against Travis Scott, Drake, and Live Nation. Following the Astroworld Festival tragedy, many big brands like McDonald's and Epic Games immediately distanced themselves from Travis Scott after previously working with him. And now it seems as though Nike is deciding to do the same thing after announcing that they will be postponing the Travis Scott Air Max 1 release. According to some recent reports, Travis Scott's newest collaboration with Nike will not be making its way to the shelves. Due to the recent events that took place at Astroworld, the company has decided to postpone Travis Scott's collaboration shoe, which was going to be called the Air Max 1 by Cactus Jack. This is going to be another big financial loss for Travis because the shoes were supposed to drop on December 16th at 7 a.m., which would have been just in time for the holidays and probably would have brought him in a ton of cash. In a statement, Nike said to the press, "Out of respect for everyone impacted by the tragic events at the Astroworld Festival, we are postponing the launch of the Air Max 1 by Cactus Jack." This move by Nike came soon after the news of 9-year-old Ezra Blount's passing, making him the 10th concert goer to lose their life because of the mayhem at the festival. On top of that, the Houston Rockets also decided to cancel a promo event they had scheduled called Travis Scott Night. In lieu of this Travis Scott Night, they decided to have a moment of silence for the victims of this tragedy. As I mentioned in the intro, even the mega fast food chain McDonald's is severing ties with Travis Scott following the controversy with Astroworld. Back in September of 2020, McDonald's announced their collaboration and launched the Travis Scott meal. However, both he and the location in Downey, California were fined after holding a promo event that brought in a crowd of 500 crazy fans. There were so many people jammed into the McDonald's just pushing and shoving each other that Scott's security team even had to push him back through the crowd. In a tweet condemning this event, the Downey police said, "Today's Travis Scott appearance at McDonald's was neither approved nor permitted by the city of Downey. DPD units were dispatched in response to a large crowd gathered and focused on traffic and pedestrian safety concerns until the crowd dispersed. No injuries were reported." So from the jump, they experienced controversy while collabing with Travis Scott, and now they definitely don't want to be partnering up again. And despite Epic Games working with Travis a lot before this, they too are distancing themselves as well. Anyone who associates with Travis right now after this incident will certainly face a bit of controversy themselves, and so to get ahead of that, Epic Games removed all of Travis Scott's unique emotes from their Fortnite item shop. There is also a Travis Scott skin as well that apparently thousands of players have in their inventory, and although it's unknown if they will remove them as well, one thing is for sure, these two will definitely not be collaborating again either. Now, all of that being said, there will be something interesting that happens here with Travis Scott merch. Currently, Travis Scott's Air Jordan 1s are being put up on resale sites for a minimum of $1,500. I think with there being no word on when he will collaborate again with Nike, that suddenly made any product that he collabed on previously just shoot up in value. Even though all of this tragedy happened, there are still going to be hardcore Travis Scott fans out there. I just hope that other artists can learn from what took place at Astroworld and understand the impact that a disaster like this can have.
Kylie Jenner has officially left Houston following the Astroworld tragedy, leaving Travis behind in the city to deal with the situation himself. It seems that Kylie is done supporting Travis and is headed back to LA to get the crisis with her own company under control. It's been reported that Kylie left Travis's $14 million mansion in the middle of the night and went in secret so she would not be detected. She even left her $72 million pink plane in Houston and took another one back to ensure her departure was kept a secret. A source told The Sun, quote, "Kylie and her team waited until it was late and left the house in blacked out cars headed for the airport. They didn't want anyone to see them." Apparently the move is so that Kylie can be back with her mother and manager Kris Jenner, who has been in crisis mode trying to handle the situation since disaster struck. Radar reported that Travis was seen outside of his mansion for the first time the other day, pacing back and forth on an intense phone call. His lawyer showed up to his home shortly after. The festival took place November 5th. It has left 10 people dead and hundreds injured. Kylie and Kendall Jenner were at the festival in the VIP section watching the show with Stormi. Following the tragedy, Kylie released a statement saying that her and Travis were not aware of the seriousness of the situation while he was performing. She said in the statement, quote, "I want to make it clear that we weren't aware of any fatalities until the news came out after the show, and in no world would we have continued filming or performing." One insider backed up this claim, saying, quote, "They found out after the show on Friday that people had died, but they were initially told it was someone injecting drugs, and that a number of people went into cardiac arrest in the same spot. They had no idea of what truly happened until much later on, and they are heartbroken over the situation." However, fans aren't listening to her excuses and are taking their anger out on her billion-dollar business, Kylie Cosmetics. Tons of videos have been circulating of people throwing their Kylie Cosmetics products into the trash and telling others to do the same if they want Kylie and Travis to pay for the lives lost. This along with the total boycott of her brand. Fans have also been boycotting Travis Scott's music, and they have blocked him as an artist on their Spotify accounts, so his music will never be accidentally played by them. Kris Jenner has been working damage control since the event took place. The source said that Kylie is, quote, "working closely with her mom as both her manager, but she's also leaning on her for emotional support." An insider told The Sun, quote, "Kris is in crisis mode and still figuring out how to handle this best."